All right, so taking a look at our rookie rankings after round one. So I'm liking the top two, Blake Howes and Caleb Windsor, 2 Ds, but we did get a good look at some of those top draft selections. Our first look at them, so Reed and Dersmer and McKercher. So, how are we looking here?
Yeah, it was always going to be kind of a weird one to see how our rookie rankings would line up after the kind of opening 2 rounds, just given we had only 5 play last week, and then you had an extra 10 debutants over the weekend. So, we still want to credit some players for, the longer batches or multiple games, and that's probably why Howes and Windsor, who've been really stellar and consistent over both of their performances, go at 1 and 2. But I think, who we had last week, Seth Campbell, Harvey Thomas, Charlie Dean probably didn't, while all good, and I think Campbell and Thomas contributed well enough. Just some of the performances from the top draft picks to start the year were way too strong. So Colby McKercher, I think he had 22 touches, moved the ball so cleanly, playing through midfield and defence. Comes in at number 3. Harley Reid had a bright little start. Was on limited minutes anyway. But yeah, really strong at the contest, few clearances, plenty of touches. I think he went at 16 for the day. And then Zane Dersmer, a couple goals for North. Really positive with him and McKercher, those two. So I reckon those 3 you probably could have put anywhere between 3, 4, and 5. And then by next week, any of them could be on top. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting first 6 rounds or so before we move to a top 6. But as mentioned, there's probably a few others that could have made it. Campbell probably could have stayed in. Harvey Thomas maybe. And Darcy Wilson probably unlucky not to break in with the other 3 for his debut against Geelong. So it's an interesting kind of top 5, but very wide open, I think, heading into round 2 for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Riley Sanders is obviously another name that could be thrown into the mix at some point this year. He was subbed out during the Bulldogs' loss to Melbourne on Sunday, but he looked, at the level. He's obviously ready-made for AFL football. He's got the size, he's got the strength, the speed, the power. That will rival some of the game's best midfielders. He obviously needs a little bit more experience under his belt, which obviously will come in time. But yeah, expect his name to be right up there with the likes of Howes, Windsor, McKercher, Reid, and Dersmer going forward.
For sure. Absolutely. That sub was very puzzling to me just because I was at that game on Sunday, and it seemed more about getting Caleb Daniel on the field rather than taking Sanders off, because it was weird that Daniel
It seemed like a bit of a panic decision. I think Sanders had a turnover or 2, and he was if you're wanting to pull a player off, I don't think Bevo was taking off the worst player or the most out of touch player in the game. So it's pretty rash, it seemed, and pretty harsh for a player he deemed earlier in the week to have the best preseason he's ever seen from a first-year player at the club. Yeah. So, a bit of a funny one, but I don't think it's something we'll see again. Yeah. For at least the next few weeks in the Dogs.
Absolutely.